8 minutes to go in this morning warm-up session, and Damon Hill once again looking absolutely superb. Now backing off to find a bit of space as he's watched by team boss Frank Williams.
So there is the number 9 of Olivier Panis in that car, trying to remove it a little bit further away from the racetrack, because if Panis can go off there, certainly others can also. And the Frenchman, who I also spoke to this morning, seems a different man after his success 2 weekends ago in Monte Carlo. And sometimes, you know, when you hit a wave like that and then you jump onto another one, you can continue on, but that little off this morning maybe tempers some of the confidence Panis has showed throughout the 2
look,
days.
we've had a major shunt on the start-finish straight. It's Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and that Sauber has been completely destroyed. It looks as though he ran wide out of the final corner.
Indeed, that is the rear of the car ripped away. Frentzen totally unhurt, steps out of the car. Just an indication of how slippery, and of course the red flag out immediately, because down there are a million bits and pieces of that Sauber Ford over the racetrack. Most of it's carbon fibre, but there'll be parts of metal. Yes, he just hit the curb and then into the tyre wall. So, and in fact he hit the tyre wall where it protects that concrete barrier. There's an access between the barrier. He hit it. You can't imagine it being possible to hit that tyre wall at the point where the wall actually is an opening. So Frentzen out of the car, basically unhurt, maybe a slight whiplash as a result of that, but the tyre wall took the bulk of the impact. But you could see those tyres being thrown up in the air, and then the naked exposed concrete wall at that access point. Unbelievable that a driver in a situation where he's out of control, the trajectory of the car goes straight to the weakest part of that tyre barrier.
Yeah, just his luck, isn't it? And that's completely destroyed what presumably was the race car. And, well, it's good to see that Heinz-Harald Frenzen's okay. That's the most important thing. Cars can be repaired. Frenzen's in good shape, waving to the crowd on his walk back down. Even a wry smile on his face. But he just set the 6th fastest time. Now he's being picked up and taken back to the pit lane. It'll take a little while, of course, for that to be cleared up, and we've still got 7 minutes of this session to run.
Yes, again, just we catch it as he begins that spin again, punctures the wall right at the part of the tunnel. There you see that access to enable the teams to get back and forward to the grid. Total destruction around the rear of the car. Engine gearbox still intact, but of course the rear suspension bodywork plucked off, but it was running wide, catching that white line in the exit that set that chain of action in process.
The smoking hulk of the Sauber Ford that's been left in the middle of the start-finish straight here after the accident for Heinz-Harald Frentzen. With most of the morning warm-up completed, Frentzen just running onto that curve and then smiting that tyre wall in the background there. There you can see indeed the marshals going through the gap you were talking about, John, and there with the complete rear wheel suspension unit which has been ripped off the car.
Well, I'm not surprised, because basically the back of the car, the engine and the gearbox part and the chassis stuck themselves into that gap, wedged themselves, and that's what plucked the 2 rear corners off the car in such dramatic fashion and threw those stacks of tyres up in the air and over that concrete barrier. But the problem began when Frentzen came out of that final right-hand corner. He was wide on the exit. He didn't appear to check it, or if he didn't do it early enough. The left rear, probably left front as well, ran over those painted lines which define the edge of the circuit. We saw what happened to Schumacher in Monte Carlo when he went over those red and white stripes down at the Portier. Precisely the same happened here for Heinz-Harald Frentzen when he went over those lines on the edge of the circuit, and that was the beginning of a very nasty moment indeed. And as I say, can you believe fate, that the trajectory of that car went straight to the weakest point in that tyre barrier?
We're just looking back at some of the action we've seen already from this morning warm-up. That was Damon Hill, of course, moving through earlier on. And there, Johnny Herbert just sliding his Sauber around. He's set the 9th fastest time so far, and that was when he was just ahead of Pedro Lamy. But of course, we've seen Pedro Lamy disappear off into the gravel in the meantime. A little bit of music, a little bit of a Spanish lack of sunshine, I'm afraid, here for the morning warm-up, as we just look at some of the pictures we've seen already today.
Well, the humidity trend is rising. It's up to 77% from 73. Track temperature and air temperature is stable around 13.5 degrees. And again, looking forward to 2 o'clock for Grand Prix start. If the ambient temperature doesn't rise significantly, which is not likely to do, then the prospect, if it did stop raining, of the track drying out is going to take quite a long time. We've seen here in the past how long it does take, and that very violent, as the car just hits the barrier, 3 corners off the car, a little flash flame from some of the hydraulic fluid that just happens to hit a hot part of an exhaust pipe. Heinz Harald, of course, totally safe in the capsule that is the driver's cockpit these days, and with those high cockpit sides as well. And Sauber were the first to introduce those sides after Bendlinger's very nasty accident back in Monte Carlo in 1994, and now mandatory by the FIA for every Grand Prix car. So Frentzen unhurt, but a lot of work to get that car back to the pit safely, and also to repair the damage to the tyre wall at that point of access.